Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCNlive.com today.
Welcome back to the NutriMedical Report, and Dr. Martin, this is a dialogue and an issue that's complicated enough. We need to have you back. I wonder if you can come back in the next couple of weeks. Is that possible?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We definitely need to book that. The issue is very, very serious, and we're seeing an increase. Why do you think it's increasing so rapidly in the past decade in all age groups, and the rates of these illnesses are now starting to strike other nations?
Well, it's really not in the last decade. If you go back to 1973, we introduced corn syrup when we put a tariff on sugar to stop Castro from exporting communism.
I love this story, by the way. You told me this before, and this makes so much sense.
Because Castro was getting his money from selling sugar. And so we put a tariff on sugar, which made sugar cost 4 times more than corn sweetener. So we started using corn sweetener. So we ripped up all the farmers, bought them, had them make, everybody was happy. The tractor makers were happy. The plow people making plows were happier. Everybody was happier. But what happened at that time, we were one of the healthiest places on earth and the healthiest country on earth, on developed country. I mean, we were just about as well off as you could be. And between 1984 and 1994, we had 1,000% increase in diabetes in children between 84 and 94. Now that means that if you started out with 10,000 children with diabetes in 1984, by 1994 you had 100,000. And we've continued up that road. Now, and we've continued to add every year. And now you have, when I first started practicing medicine back in the early 70s, it was interesting that, you had occasional child diabetic and you took care of them as a family physician. Nowadays, they've got guys that have full-time practices doing nothing but childhood diabetes, period. I mean, that's all they do. They'll have 2 and 3 of them in a city now, or maybe even more. And it just shows you how many of them are out there. And of course, it all happened when we introduced corn. But you got to remember, I hate to do this, maybe it's the wrong place to do this, but you got to remember that the Lord told us very clearly.
Oh, this is the right place, because we are believers here.
Okay, well, the Lord told us clearly that if we killed his innocent ones, that he would bring a famine against us, and 1/3 of our people would die from illness.
Right,
and we started killing his innocent ones in 1973 with Roe versus Wade.
Exactly, and now we have not only a pro-abortion president, but a pro-genocide and a pro-infanticide president in Obama. I call him the Abomination.
I don't know too much about the man. I haven't really looked into
I know what he says. He's actually voted for bills, so you just have to look at his fruit as
yeah, I know. You have
to
look at the fruit of the person to tell who he is, and I haven't done that. So, I think that there's a real dichotomy in what I'm hearing about him. I hear a guy looking for a church, and he's going to church, and I hear a guy who's also saying, that he's all for pro-abortion. And I'm going, is he simply making sure he gets elected? Is he going to change after he becomes president? Is he going to stay the same? I don't know. But whatever, he's an extension of a society that the Lord warned us about. He said that if you don't keep my commandments and my statutes, he says you'll go at your enemies one way and they'll flee 7 ways. You'll go at your enemies one way and you'll flee 7 ways. He said if you do keep my commandments and my statutes, you'll go at your enemies one way and they will flee 7 ways. And to keep them, you had to teach your children. We took the Bible out of school in 1948. We never lost a war until 1948. And since 1948, show me one we've won. And so 2 or 3 times, if we looked at all what's going on in this country, we're at a point where we have not been teaching the statutes and the commandments of the Lord. Consequently, we don't have people that really knows his statutes and his commandments, and we really don't know his mind and don't know his direction. And so the majority of people are not going to follow the Lord. They're going to follow their own decisions, which makes them feel real good, makes them feel real proud, and makes them feel big about themselves that they're making the decision and they're not listening to a God.
Yeah.
And so that's where I see it. And I hate to put the two together because
they come together because there's only one truth. The fact is that when you have people that make decisions and after they start to see the evidence, they try to cover it up on the issue like ghrelin and corn. It's been now known, as you've gone through the history, for a long time that this is a major factor. That's why I can go and look at the bread that my wife just bought yesterday, and it says does not contain, high fructose corn syrup. It's because the market out there, the people are starting to get aware, oh, this is bad for me. And if I have a tendency toward hypertension, diabetes, central weight gain, whatever, this is really bad. It's going to push me over the edge to vascular disease, diabetes, and cancer.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they're fighting back with these studies of skinny people that they feed corn to, and calling that good research. It's not.
It's a lie.
They should be having research with people that have abdominal obesity and those kind of issues.